This is a full running video of how to install one of our non-welded aluminum lid systems for the Gen X kit. This is our lid system. We also have Gen X frames, and this is actually a Gen X frame and lid combo, made specifically to be ultra light and fit the needs of a tiny boat. One of the best kits we've ever put out, completely done at a DIY level. Stay tuned and watch the entire thing. What's going on, everyone? Last time we spoke, we were tying up the frame and a few other things for the locker, and now we're ready to put the lid system on. Before we do that, though, we're going to go ahead and black out the frame to give it a unique look, to cover up the aluminum and to cover up the rivets and just kind of give it more of a slick look, and so really nobody can tell this is a riveted frame. We'll be using Gator Skin Soft Touch to black out this frame. It's pretty much a thin, textured rubber matting that is UV resistant, and it looks really nice. It's able to be folded around like tape, very much like vinyl tape or some 3M carbon fiber tape, only it's rubber, much more robust. It will actually give our lids a sound dampening feature. This stuff can also be used for under compartments, under dash systems, you name it. It's very nice, versatile stuff. It can be used for a number of applications, both on and off the water. We had to do a few other things also. The last time we touched on this, we made a lid, just to show you how the whole thing was put together. But now we're actually tying up this section. This part right here, where the initial bench seat was, how we modified this to have two fairly big day boxes. And then we're going to also modify it to have a pedestal mount. And we're going to be flowing extra foam through on each section. We're going to be pouring those things in here, just to show you in series how this is going. For people who are following this entire boat build, it's pretty important to know what and why and how we did these things. So we're going to go ahead and finalize that. That middle section is probably maybe the most important section of the core, and possibly for the structural gain of this boat. We're pouring pour foam in specific sections in here. It is actually really hot when we're pouring this, and so the foam activated in seconds instead of like a minute, and it kind of like blew up pretty insane. So temperature really affects the foam by itself. This middle section here, though, that section right there where the pedestal, that is the bigger part of the core, and from there we're going to be measuring out. Now we're going to be using the frame to measure out the entire deck. We're going to do this by taking this 3/4 inch by 1/16 inch aluminum tubing, cutting it in specific spots, go ahead and giving it a bevel, and then mounting it. So you get to see how the deck is going to lay out on the frame way before you even start to do the attachment process. I found this to be the best way to do the lids before we actually stick the sheet metal on. When you're pre-measuring for these things, you need to include the hinge. We give hinges in our kits. That needs to be included the entire gap width when you're measuring. We're using T-frame 1.5" aluminum here with 1/2 inch lip, and 3 pieces of the square aluminum tubing with the hinge will be able to fit right inside there and clear just fine, but you absolutely need to make sure your measurements and your span widths are perfect. We include these L brackets. These are what really makes it happen. If you don't have these L brackets, it gets much more tedious to put a frame like this together. But we include these, and the kit's actually able to be put together fairly quick, as long as your measurements are correct. We include a shim. I self-made these shims, but our kits come with better shims. The brackets and the shims combined give a very, very tight fit in the corner, and you can feel this. So by the time you slide all ends into each other without even riveting, you'll be able to feel how nice and solid this actually is. And once we have it in this condition at this step, we were able to put it here on the frame for spacing to see if there's any sort of odds or tweaks we need to do before we finalize cutting the sheet metal and attaching it. We're doing this by drilling 2 holes on each corner and countersinking rivets in. I only put 1 rivet in each corner this time, but later on we end up putting 2 down each section, and that's just to keep it from shifting, because even with 1 corner in each section, the frame can shift and then you'll mess up the hatch. Here is the core section. We've attached all the hinges to it via riveting, and now we're ready to kind of just go ahead and drop that thing right in and start measuring out what we're gonna do. We're gonna need that part in there so we can measure out our day box hatches. We're gonna make 2 small day box hatches the exact same way we're doing everything else. This is a .063 aluminum sheet. It is about as thin as you can go without running into serious issues with compromising of the strength. We actually send pieces of this to you directly in one of our monster kits, or you can just get a sheet like this from your local metal shop. Either way, it's really important to measure top on your box frame and then bottom wherever you're going to actually attach it. You can label the corners, that way you don't get the corners confused later when you try to attach it, because that will happen and it can cause you a lot of problems. Okay, so we're ready to attach these hatches. Let's get it going. You could do this one or two ways. You can use small 1/8 inch rivets, or you can use the tapered rivets we send with you in the kit. We also sell rivets of all lengths, both tapered and regular blind rivets. So whatever rivets you might need, we have them. We're going to use tapered rivets for this section. That way we have a complete flush fit, because we'll be putting EVA foam on top of this hatch. This system is specifically made for EVA foam. But we have systems that can be made to accommodate carpet. So whichever platform you want, whichever decking material you want, it's totally doable. One of the bigger advantages that you have with these hatches, if you're wanting to run turf, is that they are pretty symmetrically square. There's no round edges like there are around traditional bass boat hatches, and that gives us a pretty good ability. You can have literally a 1/16 inch gap between all these hatches and they will close with no binding, and that just makes the turf look that much better the closer it is. We're going to be using some Supreme quality EVA foam. This is our Orthodex stuff. This is our two-tone, non-routed stuff. It is like the Amazon foam that I use for my boat, but it's way better. It's thicker, the material is better, everything about it is better. It even routes better, and you don't have to burn the edges because the stuff actually kind of just goes seamlessly. We take our first set of hatches and we put them over here. I'm tracing these a little close, and that kind of bit me later. If I were you and I could do this all over again, I would give about a 1/2 inch or so over gap on each side. That way you have a little bit of room for play. Because trimming the turf once it's already on the hatch is really easy to do. We're also going to be messing with a bunch of these accessories for hanging baits from Tackle Titans from TH Marine and a few other ones. And we'll show you those a little bit later. We are going to turf the bottom and top because a double layer of foam like this gives really good heat resistance. You'd be very surprised. So if you like to walk around on your deck in the middle of summer because it's cooler or just more comfortable, know that double foaming it on each side is the way to go. We're using the cheaper Amazon foam underneath, and we're using the Supreme quality stuff on top that everybody's going to walk on. Both give a pretty good lookout. We did expect this turf to be a little bit darker though, and you'll see why later, but it's okay, it still looks pretty good. This is a gray with a white undertone. It actually looks really good. In fact, if you had like a skiff or something like that, this would look perfect on it. Something like a bay boat. It still looks good on this boat as well. Now it's just up to the section where we attach all 3 of these hatches to the core before we put it in.
Okay, so here we are. It's all attached. Now, if it works correctly, We should be able to drop it in right in there, and that will be it.
Now it's just a matter of attaching it. When I had this design in my head, I initially didn't account for having to get something underneath there to attach to the frame. That's why that section of the piece in front of the pedestal was off. I had to cut that off. Trying to play 4D chess with yourself in a design like this, sometimes you have to do some impromptu things. We're going to go ahead and taper this in. We're going to be adding stainless steel screws with bolts underneath right through the tubing. And we'll also be adding tapered rivets as appropriate to strengthen up the entire thing. Our foam laid out really good in there. We have drain holes. We have drain ports through the tubing. If you follow the series earlier, that's all in there. That's all set. And so there's nothing really left now but to go ahead and solidify this whole unit. And go ahead and screw and rivet that piece down. And then we can go ahead and lay turf over it. Looking pretty good. This is our initial run. I actually turfed this a few times, but just to show you for example's sake, here it is. Nate Eckhold from NCB Accessories has also gone a long way in making some really great products. One of them is gussets that are tailored to the way we frame boats, whether it's wood or aluminum hatches. We have gussets now that are like wider with a shorter underbottom, so they fit stuff like these low profile aluminum or low profile wood hatches. It'll fit them better. And they're a really good point of how we're going to make these hatches strong and keep them from sort of bending or sinking in over time. So with that, we're just going to go ahead and finish off the rest of these hatches, turf them, and get them installed.
Alright, here's the rear hatches. I kind of pivoted on the system I did in the front, where we did the joiner.
This is actually a full, welded, already pre-made to drop in your frame aluminum hatch. This is a day box from NCB Accessories, and it's pretty sweet. Like, we are going to go ahead and turf this. This one is specifically gapped for turf. You can get them specifically gapped for carpet, and you would lay that out in much the same way we're doing here. We're specifically going to use this as a drop-in day box. There's a section in the back deck that goes right over the live wall pump, and a few other things that we need quick access to. So our plan here is to use this as a spot to cover that up, where it gives the co-angler a really nice dry stow day box with a full bleed out system in there, yet it can be pulled out at will to access the live wall pump. And this actually becomes invaluable later, and we'll talk about that. By the way, we have routed foam and two-tone foam and camo foam. We have any sort of EVA foam you could ever want if you don't want to do this self-routing thing. But I went on a mission to show people that you can self-route your own stuff and that you don't need a CNC machine and like thousands of dollars to get it done. You can actually get a look like this by yourself, and likely you're very good, either trade skills or DIY skills, and make something that looks really expensive when in all reality it just took some intelligence and some time. We're using cam lever latches for the majority of these hatches. We only use one slam latch right there for the cooler mod, and then we used a few pull latches where we felt it was necessary. But everything here is more or less able to be locked. When we have it out here, we're going to go ahead and cut the top layer of foam out. So we're going to go ahead and trace this, and then we only cut deep enough to where we're going to be able to pull that top gray layer off, and that'll allow us to flush mount this latch right in there, and it won't be overhanging. You won't catch it on your foot, and it feels quite fine underneath the feet. When you're walking, you don't even notice it, and you don't even notice the underlook. Now right here, we're just going to mount it in 4 spots with some Phillips screws. We're going to go and taper out each side, and we're just going to go, and we're going to reverse drill this. So we're going to use it as we're like in the back out section. That way we don't rip the foam. We just kind of widen it out. And once we have it widened out to about the size of the screw head, we can go ahead and drop the screws in. There it is. The bigger thing about all of this, these pre-made hatches and these Gen X hatches included, is they're all made to fit the needs of a tiny boater. So if you are in a bass boat club or just in a region where a tiny boat is best suited for you, our kits are where it's at. If you want to build an elite level tiny boat that outperforms everybody else out there, check us out here. We have more on this deck to show you, and we have all the exclusive extra footage already available to VIPs and patrons and YouTube channel members. If you're a first-time viewer of this channel, subscribe and follow this whole build. You can follow the entire playlist. The link is in the description below. If you're interested in this kit, you can get them right on our site at TBNation.net, anywhere from a starter kit all the way to the advanced monster kits like this. You can build any type of boat you want. We make it possible. We have in-depth tutorials to show you how. And if you want to see those, you definitely can. We will also give them to you depending on what kit you get. Huge shout out to Nate Eckold at NCB Accessories, the other master builder out of Illinois, who's making very cool things, not only for himself, but for all of us out here, so we can put boats like this together. Stay tuned, guys.